welcome back to From Logic to Living 21 Days to Return to Yourself. I am in a very good mood, had a great day today, enjoyed the sun, had a great lunch date, went to the gym, just in love with my new flexibility and getting to work how and when I do. And also, I'm super excited that I finally joined one of the big coaching, mentoring spaces that I have wanted to join for a really long time. I think maybe almost a year. So now this finally happened today. Really happy. And yeah, it's also a lot about energy, this space that I've just joined. And this is also what I want to talk about today. So, what happens when we choose energy over effort? And I think many of us, we don't really talk about energy. Maybe we don't believe in energy. All we believe in is hard, tangible work, effort, things that we do. But actually, energy is just I mean, also in physics, right? Physicists agree that everything is energy, and depending on how fast energy vibrates, it can be solid, it can be, or it's even something that you can see. So everything is energy, and I shared it here before. But if you don't believe that you as a person are sending out energy, or you have a certain energy, then think about the vibe that you feel when you meet someone or when you talk to someone, or even online, right? Even if you just see a video or a picture of a person, there is some kind of vibe. And it's something that we can't really explain. It's just something that we feel. So, really taking energy into account completely changes the game. And there is this book called Power versus Force by David R. David R. Hawkins. Maybe you've heard about him. He's also the guy who mapped out this scale of emotions, right? Where he basically mapped out on which frequency each emotion vibrates. So there's very low vibrating, low frequency emotions like shame and guilt. And then there's very high vibrating emotions. Um, Actually, what is the highest one? I mean, I just heard that most people don't make it beyond courage, and even the courage field is something that people don't really are in that much. So let me actually see, what is the highest vibrating emotion. um Passion, no. Joy, appreciation, empowered, freedom, love. Yeah, okay, love, that makes sense. Yeah, obviously. So yeah, he's also the guy who mapped out these emotions, and so we kind of get a sense how and what frequency do you vibrate depending on which emotion are you in. And in the book Power versus Force, I mean, I haven't read it yet. It's on my bookshelf. But I have read some summaries, and the basic thing is, so true power is inner strength, it's alignment, it's truth, being coherent. So being coherent in terms of what you think, what you feel, and what you say. And a lot of people are very incoherent, right? We think something, we feel something, and we say something else. Yeah, we try to please others, we try to fit into systems, and we often bury very deeply what we actually think. So it's very incoherent. And this is not true power. And that is why, so because we're not in true power, what we rely on is force. And force is ego driven coercion and control. Yeah, it's this pushing energy, controlling, trying to make things work. And this is very exhausting. It's very exhausting. It doesn't give you the results you want, or maybe, or even, or if it does, then at a very high cost. And also many people get so lost if you try to force, it becomes all about an outcome. So you really want to achieve a certain outcome, you get so hung up on getting to this outcome that maybe that the process becomes completely unenjoyable, or people are totally happy or willing to go through a very unpleasant process just to achieve a certain outcome. And then this is also what happens often when we achieve a goal that is kind of ego driven. We get to the goal and it feels empty. It feels very different from what we imagined. So often, I mean, I experienced this, for example, there was a promotion that I really wanted to have, put a lot of work in, definitely fell into a control, pushing, forcing pattern there. I got the promotion and it felt empty. I mean, yes, there was this, for a moment, there was, there was some relief and there was this ego satisfaction where, you've kind of proven that you can do this. But it was very fleeting and not very fulfilling. So that is why, and I mean, that is what people often do, right? Be it in the workplace, be it when building a business, they over focus on the outcome and they don't care about the process anymore. And to have, a good life, we need to also focus on the process, and we need to find a way to get to a certain outcome that is enjoyable, that doesn't burn us out, that brings joy, that brings pleasure, that fulfills us. And how you can do this is, of course, designing the process in a way that you like it. So maybe it's probably not working 15 hours a day, and it's probably not completely neglecting all other areas of your life, but having taking care of your health, taking care of your well-being, working with people that you like, working on projects you enjoy. And then you can still set goals, you can still work towards an outcome, but if that outcome doesn't happen, you are not that attached because you enjoy the process. Whereas if you kind of burn yourself out, you exhaust yourself, you basically hate your life just to get that certain outcome, and then it doesn't come, then this is where resentment and bitterness and disappointment come up. Yeah, and this is also why people get so attached and they push and force and control even more. Now, how do we do this? So when we focus on process more than outcome, it's, like I said, designing a life that fits you. So for me, right now, I'm absolutely loving the process of building my own business because I'm doing something I'm passionate about, right? It's like personal development, growth, spirituality, all these topics. I've spent basically every free minute on these over the past years. So now I get to do this even, as my work. I have complete freedom in how I design my day. I just shared, I worked a little bit in the morning, then headed out to the gym around 11, met someone for lunch at 12:15, had a nice lunch, went for a walk, and then came back to work. And I mean, I even enjoy working in the evenings now a little bit, which I absolutely hated when I was employed. And now it's different because I know exactly, like, I have full control over my time. And also this much more creative work that I'm doing now and doing new things, and then also, getting to mix different tasks. There's much more variety in what I do. So this is all process. Yeah, because the outcome, of course, is not something that I have achieved yet. And um, yeah. And then at the same time, and this is actually also something that I talked about today at lunch with this friend that I met. It's like, how do you make sure that you don't get stuck in this constant improvement, wanting more stuff, wanting an even better life, and you just, you always have your eyes on what you don't have and what you could even improve. And this is where gratitude comes in. And I mean, these days, every morning, I really anchor myself into gratitude. I anchor myself into the fact that I get to do this, that I get to build something I'm passionate about, that I get to learn and grow in this way, that, I get to have so much time for myself and for building something that is valuable for me. And that really instantly shifts me out of this outcome control, this need, or sometimes this, oh, I wish, I would already have X amount of clients. Oh, I wish I already had made X euros in sales. That shifts me out immediately out of this outcome focused back into the process and how amazing that is. And that doesn't mean you can't have desires, but desire is different than really attaching yourself to an outcome. Desire is something, yes, I do feel a longing to experience that, but I don't feel completely miserable if it doesn't happen tomorrow, or if it doesn't happen in the next 2 weeks, or if it, maybe even doesn't happen at all. And I can still enjoy the process. I can still stay positive. I can have faith that the things will come and I'm desiring them, but I don't want them out of lack frequency, because want is often also attached with a certain kind of lack. I want this. I don't have this. I need this. Yeah. So, and these are subtle shifts, right? And if you really look then into energy and also the different frequency of emotions, then this is actually important. Are you in a lack frequency? Right? Do you feel like there is not enough and you need a certain outcome to validate your worth? Is your self worth attached to performance, to certain numbers in your business? Or is it really pure desire where you feel worthy, you feel grateful for what you have, and you just would like to experience that one day? That is a very different energy, so a very different energetic signature that you are walking around with. Yeah, and I actually also made a post today about, my life feels really good right now, and it has gotten better over the past years. So I feel like, I mean, there is ups and downs on the way up, right? That's how people usually describe it, and that's how it is, but it's really a clear upward trend for me. And I sometimes feel guilty because out there everyone is so trapped in worry and fear and anxiety. And I mean, I can understand it given what is happening in the world, and I can also understand it for people who maybe don't have the same options. Like, I'm obviously very privileged, but then there is also so many people out there who have similar privileges than I do, or even the same privilege, and they are also stuck in this fear and anxiety and worry field. And this is also understandable because right now there is a lot of fear and worry out in the world. And if, of course, I mean, if I didn't focus my energy, if I didn't take care of my energy every day, and if I didn't really take care of what I take in, what I consume, um, also the thoughts that are going on in my head, I would also feel very different. And actually, I did feel very different. Like 5 years ago, I mean, not just exhausted, but really also like a victim. Like I had no control over my life. Like everything was out of my control, and it was just gonna, you know, be downhill from here. And I was also very much a victim to my own emotions. I couldn't really detach or control, I mean, not control, but at least detach from my emotions, or at least be aware and then shift it. Yeah. So this work is really important, and not just for your own well-being, not just for your own sake, but also the more people are in this fear and worry frequency, the lower the vibration on this planet. And I mean, I also feel that when I go out and meet people, and I was in an event, and then you just talk to random people, and you just, you can stand there with more optimism, with conviction, with hope. You do them a huge favor, right? If you're not also that person that, makes the fear energy field even bigger, but if you go in with a different frequency, that's not just helping yourself, that's also helping others. And right here, right now in Germany, we are still in a very privileged situation. So, can we be grateful? And can we also feel, yeah, can we also feel positive emotions for that? And can we have a positive outlook? Because, I mean, no matter what, there is always a positive scenario. And until, yeah, I mean, I just think until the bad things haven't happened and then at that point it would just be denial. But I mean, right now, can you just stay in hope, or can you bring back some hope, some gratitude, some positive frequency? And this is why it's so much easier, because I'm in more, I'm in more positive emotion, and more positive energy. There's less resistance, more ideas, more clarity, more creativity. I feel lighter. Yeah, I feel lighter. And this is what energy does when we really pay attention to our energy. And yeah, there's one more thing I want to also mention here, is it's also coming back to the body and to your intuition, the wisdom that lives inside of you. So you don't need more strategy. You just need to learn to listen to yourself again. And especially in these times with AI, I mean, we have all been taught to outsource knowledge to other sources, right? We always think other people know better. And with AI, this is even more amplified. Before you think, you ask ChatGPT. If you gotta make a decision, you ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. I mean, I use ChatGPT and Claude all day, almost. But then it depends for what. And there are certain things where I just feel into my body, and I listen to my inner voice, and I let myself be guided by my soul. And this is the work that I do, because it really changes your whole existence. And I've learned an interesting concept just 1 or 2 months ago from a Kundalini yoga teacher. So she teaches mantras, and there is this teaching in the scriptures that in the body there is different lokas, so like a little bit like the energy centers, And then you can chant the mantra from different lokas, and you can also exist. So your consciousness, your existence can be in different lokas. And if you are more on lower frequency, lower vibrating emotions and thoughts, then you exist on a lower loka. And when you train yourself to be on higher um, frequency emotions and thoughts, you exist in a higher loka. So mantra, for example, can help you get to that higher loka. And sometimes I've been wondering, yeah, I've really been wondering if you know that is why, you know, people have so hugely different realities. Yeah, you can talk to one person and you know, they have the most optimistic outlook and everything's going great and they're grateful, and not necessarily because their circumstances are amazing, but also what they may make of it. And if you have, you know, a certain education, if you have financial means to a certain degree, right, your circumstances don't really keep you stuck. You have ways to move. It's more your unwillingness or maybe inability because you're still so stuck in old patterns to move. And then you feel victimized by circumstances. And I can totally understand that. I had that same feeling years ago too. Until, you know, I came across all this work. Until I heard, okay, I can control my circumstances and I can shift my emotions, I can take care of my thoughts, and I can yeah, create my own reality. I mean, that is of course next level, and this is not how I started, but at least until I realized I got more control than I thought. And this is probably the first and hardest step, is to admit to yourself that you have more control than you think, or that you maybe even want to have. Because if you say you got no control, that's also an easy way out. Yeah, you can blame others, you can blame circumstances. That's always easier than, you know, working your shit out. Okay, so cultivate that inner voice. Again, I have a yoga mini series coming up. It's called Reconnect and Realign, where we exactly do that, reconnect to the body wisdom, the inner voice. We will work with Kundalini yoga, breath, and sound. So these are the tools that I use still to this very day, every day. They have changed my life. They're still changing my life. This is what I use to get myself into higher states of frequency, of vibration. Also, how I regulate my nervous system so I can actually stay calm, and I can, you know, not, I can choose not to go into fear. I can choose to stay in courage and love and gratitude. It's three sessions. You can buy all three for 55 euros, or you just buy one session for 21. We start on Monday. It's all online. We meet Mondays, 6 p.m. I'll put the link in the description for the exact follow up dates. And if you can't make it live, of course, I will provide a recording. Okay, thank you for being here, and I'll see you back tomorrow.